the way leading up to the supreme divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayotha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami. Pujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Before I begin, of course, I am very, very grateful to my dear friends Kaliom ji and Prasad ji for inviting me here. This is my 9th year here with you, so being for 9 years, and somehow I try to punish them each year and they seem to like punishment, so they keep calling me. And thank you for being here. Unfortunately, for the past couple of years, we've all been forced to keep away from each other, safe enough away. And this year's theme is Sangam, actual meeting, confluence, and being together. So are you going to hit the enter button? So today's topic is visualizing Omkar. So hopefully this is not the first time you're hearing the word Om, correct? This is the first time? We all recite this every day in different ways, in different times, different intensities. And the great sages and saints over generations have given meaning and understanding to this word Om. And I'm going to share how this appears in the Ramayana. How many of you heard about or the word Ramayana? Okay, good. And in the Ramayana, this actually comes up and it conveys the greatest spiritual truth and reality in a very visual way. And that's what I hope to walk us through for the next 35-40 minutes that we have. So I'm just going to say next and then you hit the button. So next, please. It's great. We had not talked, Kaliom ji and I, but her ending words, the last words that she said in her presentation, is a perfect segue to what I was going to start off with. By offering respects to Swami Vivekananda ji for opening the door. Generally people say he opened the door for the Eastern Vedic philosophy to come to America. It's true. In his honor, I actually like to believe that he opened the door for the West to become introduced to what's out there for the world to appreciate. And he did say, arise, awake, and stop not. Your goal is achieved. It's meant to give an impetus to find the truth, starting with a capital T. Now in our day-to-day lives, we deal with many truths with lowercase t. such as it's very cold right now. Now these, on a day-to-day basis, these truths are called relative truths. Relative because it's cold today, it was not cold a few months ago, and will not be cold a few months later. Or it's cold outside, but here we're all nice and toasty. It's warm, it's comfortable. So that truth is relevant only in a certain reference or in a certain context. But there is something called absolute truth. That absolute truth doesn't change because of place, whether you're in America or China or India or any other part of the world, or doesn't change because of time. Something that was true millions of years ago is true today and will remain true millions of years to come, which means it is eternal. So we all operate in two dimensions, space and time, and something is not valid within that framework is called absolute. So what I'm going to share with you next, Prasad, is from the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Next. So here's what we're going to do. This is a picture of the Sangam in this place called Allahabad or Prayagraj, where the Ganga and Jamuna, and there's a third river, Saraswati, but it's not visible. Saraswati is an underground river, but it is said that at this point of confluence, these three rivers meet. And from there on, the river takes on the name Ganga. Although she is Ganga when she begins, she has different names. But from here on, she is called Ganga. But this idea of meeting of three rivers has significance because I'm going to speak of three certain truths that come to meet. And their meeting is what comprises pretty much the entire Vedic teaching encapsulated in these three. Next please. So we're all familiar with Omkar. So please say with me loudly, clearly, slowly. Om. Sounds like O and M together, but it's really not the case. Next please. It is made of three syllables of sounds. A, U, and Ma. And this is what our Vedas describe. And there is a reason behind it. So I'm going to take you to the Ramayana. So I've been studying the Valmiki Ramayana for the past close to 6 years, 5+ years. And the more I study, the less I feel like I have known, and there is so much more to know. It is such a fantastic book. It is written in form of poetry. And there is one thing about poetry, that the poet says one thing, but means something else. That's why they write it in poetry. And when I went through school, it was in poetry that I got the lowest grades, because I could never figure out why something that's said like this actually meant something else altogether. Until I started studying the work of the original poet, Adi Kavi, Sri Valmiki, in Ramayana. So here's the scenario. Next slide, please. We are going to go to a section in Ramayana called Aranyakanda. So the Ramayana has what we call 7 cantos or kandas. First is called Balakanda, next is Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkindha Kanda, Sundara Kanda, Yudhya Kanda and Uttara Kanda. So this picture or scenario, because we are visualizing something, is from the 11th chapter of the Aranya Kanda. The very first verse of it describes Lord Ramachandra, Sita and Lakshmana walking in the forest. So I'm going to show you that verse. The verse says, Agratah prayayo Rama Sita madhye sumadhyama Prishtatah tu dhanur pandya Lakshmano anujagamaha. That's the verse. And the great commentators for over thousands of years describe that. I'm going to take you word by word. We'll start with the very last word in the shloka, ha. When great composers or poets put the word ha in a sentence, it's an exclamation mark, right? And it is to depict in writing a sense of exclamation. Wow! So this is what Valmiki is saying. Wow! The question is, what is he wowing about? And so although the verse literally says, Agrataha prayayo Rama. Ramachandra is walking in front. Sita madhye sumadhyama. Sumadhyama means the slender-waisted Sita. She has a very slender waist. Madhye, she is walking in between. And Prishtataha dhanurpani Lakshmano anujagama. Lakshmana is walking in the back, holding a bow. So what is the wow in this verse? And the great Acharyas comment that the wow is in the way the shloka is constructed. It starts with Agrataha Parayayo Rama. And Sita Madhye Su Madhyama, the U in the middle of the verse. And at the very last line, Lakshmano Anujagama. If I've circled the three words for you, the three syllables, U and Ma. This verse is called the Omkara verse. So Valmiki is seeing Ramachandra, Sita and Lakshmana walking one behind the other, and he has visualized the Omkara. And that is the wow. So one may say, hold on a second, what is the wow in this? Can we go to the next one? You hit enter. It's already there. Okay, so it's just highlighting the U and Ma in this. So now the entire Ramayana operates on at least 4 levels of reality. So we'll take the very first one. It's the story of how a human being needs to conduct oneself in life such that traversing through what we call from womb to tomb, right, from birth to death, how to follow dharma under all circumstances, when the tides are high or when there are ebbs or flows, in difficulties and in joy, in profit and in loss. That one should always, always, always stick to dharma and never compromise it, because dharma rakshati rakshita. Dharma comes to the protection of a person who protects dharma. The great sage Kalidas says that dharma is like a walking stick. You all have seen persons with a walking stick, and the walking stick helps a person from falling down. But if you keep the walking stick in a corner, it's not going to come to you to help you. So unless and until you pick up the walking stick and walk with it, it cannot protect you. Similarly, dharma is also like that. Unless one follows dharma, dharma cannot protect you or dharma. So it's on the one level of how a human being should operate. The second is that it has a whole set of the Vedic philosophy about the Jiva, the living entity, about Prakriti, and about Purusha, the Supreme Lord, Karma, Kala, etc. Time and one's karma. All of this is parallelly working along in the story of Ramayana. The third reality is I would say, allegory type. The allegory is that this is a story about you and me and she and he and everyone in this living world. In different forms of it, but the essence, the thread through it is applicable to all of this. So there is spiritual truth in it as well. And finally, it's the Leela of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra and his consort, divine consort Sita Devi. So you see Leela happening, you see spiritual truth happening, you find dharmic happening, and a philosophy, meta level, and the story of the dharma level. So it is said that if you read the Ramayana, when you read the lines of the Ramayana, you understand dharma. And when you read between the lines of Ramayana, you understand Brahma, the Supreme Lord, Sri Ramachandra. So poetry is all about reading between the lines. And so this verse is a visual of Omkara. Why? How? We go to the next one. So we're going to start, next one too. We're going to start from here. We're going to start with the Makara, the Ma. And because this is about Sangam, in this road sign where it says the cars coming from the right have to merge into the traffic, this picture has actually three parts to it. One is the ever-flowing traffic on the left. The other is the new traffic coming in. And what connects the traffic on the left to the traffic on the right is the road below. Okay? So there are three aspects here. So we'll go to the very first one, or the last one actually, the Makara. In the Upanishads, there is a verse that identifies what I'm about to tell. The next please. So Lakshmana says that Prashatah Dhanurpani Lakshmano Anujagamaha. That's the verse. Prishtata means walking in the back. And the word used in Sanskrit is Anujagama. I don't know if you have time for Sanskrit, but if you ever read any Sanskrit verses and you see the prefix Anu before anything, that's where prefixes are put anyway. Anu means to follow or to be subordinate to. Anujagama means following Sita and Ramachandra. So this Lakshmana represents any one of us, the living entity, the Jiva. And the perfection of the living entity is to follow in the path that leads to the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra. This is the purpose of human life. It's the purpose of life, but other species cannot necessarily appreciate it, unlike the human being. So the purpose of human life is to, when we say meet or merge into the traffic, it's not that my Toyota Prius becomes the 18-wheeled truck right next to me. It's just that I go along, I meet in traffic. So for a living entity, the purpose is to follow the Supreme. But how? And therefore the word Dhanurpani, he is holding a bow. Now Lakshmana holding a bow means Lakshmana is offering service to Sita and Ramachandra. That is his identity. He is offering service. Although Actually, Ramachandra is also holding a bow, but the verse does not say it. It says Lakshmana Dhanushpani. Now, for each one of us as a living entity, we have what is called dharma. Now, many scholars give views on what dharma is. Sripad Ramanujacharya defines dharma as that which is intrinsic to every person and cannot be separated from them. And he gives the example that the dharma of sugar is sweetness. If you separate sweetness from sugar, it's not sugar anymore. It will call something else. Dharma of water is liquidity, yes. Someone may say, well, you can freeze it. That's true. You can make it ice. But as soon as you leave it, it naturally moves towards its liquid state. Dharma of the chili is hot spice or heat. So what is the dharma of the living being? As described, the dharma of the living being is seva or service. There's nobody, I hope anyone in the room defy that we are always serving. We're serving something or someone. We are serving our family, we're serving our bosses, we're serving our country, we are serving, if nothing else, a pet animal. Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, would give an example that somebody may be a big CEO, but that same very CEO in the morning, when his or her dog drops a turd, would pick it up and serve the dog. Because service cannot be separated from the living being. But what is the concern is we don't know perhaps, or a living entity might not know who is the object of service. So that service is expressed in different ways, perhaps unknowingly, but the service needs to be expressed to the Supreme Lord. So in case of Lakshmana, the verse says he's holding a bow. Dhanushpani Lakshmano Anujagama. And unless there is service, there cannot be union or meeting with the Supreme Lord. Many of us come to a temple and we bow down, and the first word we say Namaha means not me, or I am free of a designation of this body. But the very act of bowing down is an expression of, I am here to serve you. But generally people come to a temple or a place of worship with, I am here, I have a list of how you can serve me. There's a story of a person who was a very devout follower of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god, who gives many blessings and benefits. So this person wanted money, so he bought a lottery ticket for $1 million and came to Ganesha and offered prayers, put the ticket in front of him and said, please let me win this lottery. And if I do, I will give you half. Right? If nothing else, bribery works the best. So on the day the results were announced, he saw that he had missed by one digit. I don't know how lottery works, but anyway, he missed by one digit, and instead of $1 million, he won 500,000. So he was elated. He jumped up and said, Ganesh ki jai! Ran to the temple and came and bowed down in front of Ganesha and said, thank you for fulfilling my wish. And you're very smart, Ganesha. I asked you for $1 million and I said I'll give you half. You're very smart. You already took your part and gave me mine. Thank you. So people think coming to a temple means I bow down and I give a list of my difficulties and say, fill this, take care of that, make sure that's taken care of, this one, that one. But actually temples are places, it doesn't have to be temple, but wherever. The idea is to ask, how may I serve you? Because that is our nature of seva. How may I serve you? That's Makara, represented by Lakshmana in this verse. Next one. Then there is Ramachandra. He is represented by A. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Akarosmi. I am A. That means I am the beginning of everything. The word Adi, from the very beginning, starts with A. And there is a Vedic mantra, Akara, Akaro, Vishnu. That the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is the source or the bija of entire creation, is represented by A. Therefore, in Omkara, when we are calling out and meditating on the creation, actually it's the creator, it has to start with A. And the entire Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaishcha sarvai ahameva vedya. Through all the Vedas, I am to know. Vedanta krit, Vedavid eva cha aham. I am the compiler of the Vedas. I am the source of the Vedas. In fact, I am the source of everything. The Srimad Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva begins with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Means already he said Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The very first phrase he uses is Janmadyasya Yataha. He from whom everything comes forth. So he is the Akara, Lord Ramachandra. Now the next one, right in the middle is Sita Devi. Sita Madhye Sumadhyama. Sita Madhye, she is in the middle. Now, in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, there is a well-known phrase that says, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. That Supreme Being, Parasya, Para means beyond one's capacity to grab with our mind and intelligence. Anything that lies beyond that is Para. Anything that we can imagine, then it is material. Anything beyond our imagination perhaps lies in the realm of spirit. Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva. The Supreme Being has many, many energies. And Shruyate means it is heard so. And Sita Devi represents that Shakti or the energy that draws the living entity to the Supreme. So among the many, many energies that the Lord Ramachandra, Lord Vishnu owns or possesses, they are usually categorized into three. Somehow the number 3 is very significant in the Vedic lexicon. One is called the Samvit Shakti, Sandhini Shakti. Sandhini is the one that creates everything for the Lord to enjoy. The next is called Samvit, by which all of one's awareness and knowledge is awakened. And the third is called Hladini. Hlad means to be happy, bliss. These three actually represent Sat, Chit and Ananda. Samdhini is the Sat, Samvit is the Chit, and Ananda is represented by Hladini. You've heard the word Prahlada. Hlada, Prahlada means extremely happy. So this Hladini energy or potency has the power to draw the living being to Ramachandra and Ramachandra to the living being. And because it is only through a medium of service can love awaken. In fact, love is nothing but a series of expressions of service. In any relationship, if one person says to the other person, I love you, and the other person says, love you too, but they don't do anything for each other, there's no expression of love beyond those words, very soon the person will start doubting, is this love really, is it really genuine? So beyond words is love in action. and is shown by doing something for each other, selflessly. My love for persons that I love is expressed when I can selflessly do something for them without some expectation of return. And if I do it with some expectation of return, then my love is already tainted. It's a transaction. You go to a store, you want something, you take and you pay for it. It's a transaction. But bhakti or the Vedic lifestyle is not transactional, it's relational. And that energy that makes that relational interaction possible is the Hladini potency. So Sita Devi is right in the middle, the Ukara in the Om. And without the Ukara, the A and the Ma cannot meet. So without the presence of Adi Shakti right next to the Supreme Lord, none of us, even if we want to, can meet the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra. Or for that matter, any spiritual realization is possible because of the Shakti that draws a person towards the Supreme. Now, it depends on the disposition of the living entity, whether he or she is drawn towards or pushed away from. If I want to offer service to Lord Ramachandra, I am drawn towards him by Sita Devi. And if that's not my interest, then the same energy acts differently. She's called Maya. And she pushes me away. Because I want to be pushed away. I want to be pushed away means I want to be able to live a life that is devoid of a conception of the Supreme, devoid of the conception of the Divine, and I understand that I am this body, this life is all, and life is meant for gratifying my senses and enjoying this world. If that's my disposition, then the same Shakti in a transformed state acts as Maya. And Maya, actually in Sanskrit, because Maya has multiple meanings. Let me humor me for a moment. The syllable Ma actually means Sita Devi or Lakshmi Devi. Right? Because we call Krishna or Vishnu Madhava. Right? Madhava. Dhava means husband. Madhava means husband of Lakshmi. Because in Sanskrit or in Hindi also, a woman who is a widow is called Vidhava, one without a husband. Vidhava. So Madhava, so Ma is Lakshmi Devi and Ya is she, referred to as she who. For a man or a male it is Yah, for a female it is Ya. So Ma Ya means Lakshmi Devi, she who manages the entire creation. The word Ma also means not. You've heard this phrase, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Ma means do not, or something that does not exist. And Ya means that which. So that which does not exist is also called Maya. So depending upon how I am looking at Ramachandra, which Maya will work on me is dependent on me. So it's important that the journey of human life begins with asking, actually searching for and then asking a guru or multiple gurus actually. We're learning. Therefore the Vedas are filled with verses that tell a person one should actually go use the human life the entire energy of the human faculty for only one purpose: to find a teacher. That teacher or teachers who can lead you to, in this case I'm talking of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Vishnu, Krishna. Because without that, the other Maya will work. The Maya that tells me something is real when it is not. So that is what the Omkara said. Because of this realization, Valmiki said, Ha! Agratah yayo Rama Sita madhye sumadhyama Prishtatah dhanurpani Lakshmano anujagama ha. Lord Ramachandra, Sita Devi, Lakshmana, the Supreme Lord, His Ladini potency, and the Jiva, each one of us. Only when all three come together, only when that Sangam is there, is the meaning of Om. Because that's when Om is fully visualized and realized. Up until that time, it's a sound. Definitely has very, very strong potency and power. But when we are reciting Om, meditating on it, the idea of what is the visual, what is it that we are ultimately aspiring for should be clear as well. At least I'm talking to myself, I'm not talking to you. You're a learned disciple. I'm using the word should, would, must is for myself. That it's important that the Vedic truth and the ultimate objective, when clear, meditation becomes meaningful and purposeful. So that's all I have for you today. Any questions, comments, thoughts, objections? Yes. I give me your name as well.
Sunny Verma.
Sunny.
I practice daily. The thing is, I feel the vibration and I do not understand why there is a vibration when we chant.
Okay. You want to know why there is?
Yeah, why there is a vibration in the body and how many times you should chant every day?
As many times as you can. Sound is, there's a whole line of study on sound. The entire Vedic truth, reality, has always been preserved in sound. Because sound can go beyond the material barriers. Sound can exist in vacuum, sound can exist in space. And it is through sound that everything is created. So the Vedic truths have always been preserved in sound, and that's why for millions and millions of years nothing is written down. Only in Kali Yuga we have to write it down. Because without writing, there's no memory. So sound, and if it is written, you have to carry it with you, but sound is you carry in you. You can always bring it up. So it's encapsulated in sound. I don't have the time to go into the theology of sound today, but that's what it is. What you call vibration is the sensation of that spiritual sound making some effect. The same sound, somebody who did a PhD thesis on this was, they had a test group and a control group. The control group was given the Hare Krishna mantra to chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, for about a month. The test group was given the word Coca-Cola. The same, but in the meter of using Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, 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 Cola, like that. Because even the pattern has to match. The test group had no effect of any kind. The control group saw what you were expressing, certain vibrations. Because this sound is spiritual. This sound is material. Material sound and object are not the same. For example, I'm thirsty now. Right? And I can say, water, 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 water. My thirst doesn't get quenched. In fact, I become thirstier. But if I say Rama, Krishna, Om, sound and the object are the same. Okay, Sunny? That's all in the short time, but maybe another time. Anything else? I'm sorry, I didn't realize Swamiji is sitting in our presence. Please forgive my impudence. I totally didn't offer my response.
There's one more person.
Who has a hand raised?
My name is Vivekananda, and I don't have a question except for men.
Okay.
Your explanation about truth, naturally truth percentage, visualizing and bringing it from now my end. It's another way of putting it. I like it very much. And absolute truth. It reminds me of one shloka, one from Vedas. Ekam sat vipra bhakta vedanti. That means God is one. This is the absolute truth. This is truth. It was truth. It can always be true. And people with different backgrounds, born in different areas, under different religions, so-called, they address it by different names. So, thank you for your presentation.
Well, thank you for your blessings. Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me over. I really appreciate it.